Hi, it's me, Van Clarence Mutina, and we are the Athena Adventures. So, for this presentation, we are going to start with the GDP and economic measures of our chosen country, which is Japan. So, the gross domestic product, or the GDP of Japan, was worth 4,212.95 billion US dollars in 2023. So, that is according to the official data from the World Bank. So the GDP value of Japan represent 4% of the world economy. So the next is the GDP components, which is the first one is the consumer spending. So in 2022, which is the latest data available for this one, household in Japan with a household head aged between 50 and 59 years old spent a monthly average of about 318,000 Japanese yen on consumption expenditures, which is the highest among households. So as seen in the data or as seen in the table, the head age between 50 to 59 years old were found to be the most person to spend the most out of the household. So nowadays, senior-led households are mostly debt-free and financially stable in Japan. So they have an average net savings of multi-person households exceeding 20 million Japanese yen. So senior-headed household spent on average over 207,000 yen monthly, with food being the largest expense item for them. So shopping activities for them are concentrated around physical retail, particularly stores in the neighborhood. So the next one is business spending. So business spending or investment for this one, for this section, it includes not only capital investments like machinery, buildings, and technology, but also expenditures on activities that can enhance a firm's market position and profitability, such as advertising. So, advertising in Japan is really prevalent. So, advertising is one example of business spending. So, that is our chosen example for business spending, which is advertising. So, advertising contributes to economic growth by increasing sales and market share. So, which in turn can lead to higher production and employment in Japan. So, throughout 2023, advertising expenditures in Japan grew 3.0% year on year to a record high of 7,316.7 billion yen. So, with internet advertising as one out of the three advertising expenditure as the most demand for advertising, and internet advertising expenditures reached a record high of 3,333 billion yen, and it surpasses the previous year's total by 241.8 billion yen. So it is a 7.8 increase. The rising demand for video ads resulting from the widespread use of connected TVs along with the expansion of the digital promotion market contributed to this growth. So the third is government spending. So we have chosen an example for government spending of Japan is social security expenditures. So social security expenditures is a major component of government spending. So this includes pensions, healthcare, and welfare programs. So the aging population in Japan has led to an increased spending in this specific area alone. So in order to support that growing number of retirees. So close to 30% of the total population in Japan are aged 65 years and older. So making Japan one of the few super aged population in the world. That is according to the World Health Organization. And the aging demographic impacted governmental expenditures and increased social security expenditures dramatically. So in the 2022 budget, social security accounted for around 34% of the general account expenditures. So this trend is estimated to continue in the incoming decades as health and long-term care related public expenditures as well as pension distribution are expected to surge. So to counter the rising national debt resulting from the swelling social security expenditures in Japan, the government there raised the consumption tax from 8% to 10% in 2019. So the next one and the last one is the net exports. So value of net exports of goods and services in Japan, 2014 to 2023, so for that year. So in 2023, the value of net export of goods and services in Japan amounted to approximately 3.3 billion Japanese yen. So the observed period saw many years with net losses from 2014 to 2023. So with the biggest loss occurring in 2014 at around 5.5 billion yen. So this is a sign of a trade surplus, not from the 2014 one, but from the 2023, which is the 3.3 billion Japanese yen. Because it's a trade surplus because their export exceed the values of import. So as Japan, as we all know, is known as a net exporter of goods like electronic devices. So the export value of electronic components and devices from Japan amounted to closely to approximately 9.76 billion Japanese yen in 2023. So electronic components and devices accounted for the largest part of the total export value of electronics from Japan. So it reached around 12.36 billion yen during that year. So that would be all from my part. So on to the next one.
Japan's demand components are shaped by its aging population, resilience on technology, and external trade dynamics. While consumer spending and government expenditures are relatively stable, challenges such as demographic shifts, high public debt, and trade dependencies require careful economic management. So, what are the breakdowns of the four components of demand for Japan? Considering its unique economic structure and policies, first is the consumer spending. The significance of it is Japan's consumer spending contributes approximately 50 to 60% of its GDP, making it a key driver for the economy. Consumer spending in Japan is influenced by demographic factors like aging population and declining birth rate, which results in a decline of growth and consumption patterns such as healthcare services and other technologies of the societies. What are the challenges for this is the rising inflation due to global supply chains, which also disrupts the energy costs affecting purchasing power. Second is the business spending. The business investment, including spending on machinery, equipment, technology, accounts for 20% of Japan's GDP, which focuses on innovation and automation, has led to the increased investment in robotics and AI to counter labor shortages. What what is due to this is the population decline. The challenges, of course, involves the global market, corporate or deficiency in the manufacturing sectors. Third one is the government spending, which also accounts for roughly 15 to 20% of Japan's GDP, which involves public investment. Large-scale fiscal stimulus packages have implemented to support the economy. For a huge example is the post-COVID-19 sustainability projects, such as the social security expenses, and of course, it relates to the aging expenses. The last one is the limit fiscal flexibility, or which we relate to the net exports and trade balance. Exports, primarily automobiles, electronics, and machinery, are vital to Japan's economy, contributing around 15 to 20% of GDP, which also maintain a trade surplus of historical events such as the years fluctuating due to supply chains and disruptions of the energy imports of Japan. So to this, energy dependency is also important for Japan. It imports over 90% of the energy needs, which fluctuates in price or the uncertainties impacts, of course, causes a problem for Japan. With this, the breakdowns of the four components are very important for Japan to actually have a stable economy here in their economic status.
Good morning, everyone. My topic is all about Keynesian's law and Say's law, and I choose Keynesian's law to apply to Japan's earthquake and tsunami last 2011. Japan's response to the 2011 earthquake and tsunami demonstrated a strong application of Keynesian principles to stimulate economic recovery. So number one is massive infrastructure investment. The Japanese government launched a massive reconstruction program, investing heavily in rebuilding infrastructure, including roads, bridges, railways, and ports. This created a significant number of jobs in construction and related industries, boosting economic activity. Number two is the housing reconstruction and support. The government provided substantial funding and rebuilding homes and apartments that were destroyed or damaged by the tsunami. This is not only help families regain their housing but also stimulated the construction and real estate sectors. So number three is the tax breaks and incentives for businesses. Japan offered tax breaks and other incentives to businesses rebuilding in earthquake affected areas. This encouraged investment and helped businesses recover faster, contributing to overall economic growth. So number four is loose monetary policy. The Bank of Japan implemented a loose monetary policy, lowering interest rates to encourage borrowing and investment. This made it cheaper for businesses to secure financing for reconstruction projects for individuals to rebuild their homes. Number five is disaster relief and social safety nets. The government provided extensive disaster relief, including financial assistance, temporary housing, and food aid to affected individuals and families. This helped mitigate the immediate economic hardship caused by the earthquake and tsunami. So number six is the public works projects. Japan also invested in public works projects such as building seawalls and strengthening infrastructure to mitigate the risk of future disasters. This not only improved disaster preparedness but also created jobs and stimulated the economy. So, while the 2011 earthquake and tsunami posed immense challenges, Japan's response, guided by Keynesian principles, helped the country recover economically. The government's active role in stimulating demand through infrastructures, investment, tax incentives, and loose monetary policy played a significant role in the rebuilding process. However, it's important to note that disaster recovery requires a multifaceted approach that goes beyond economic considerations. Thank you.
The type of monetary policy typically set by the central bank to recover from economic setbacks is expansionary monetary policy. This policy aims to stimulate economic growth by increasing money supply, encouraging borrowing, and boosting spending and investment. Here are the main tools used to apply this kind of policy. Lowering interest rates increases the money supply and encouraging lending by financial institutions. Reduced requirements and forward guidance communicates its intention to keep interest rates low for an extended period, providing stability and encouraging economic activity. Also, there are pre-existing mechanisms that activate automatically to stabilize the economy. First, we have to lower income brackets for taxed, which reduces the financial burden during income declines. Programs like food stamps or housing assistance expand naturally as more people qualify during economic hardship. This simple structure emphasizes collaboration between active government measures and automatic mechanisms, ensuring an effective response to natural disasters. Moreover, this diagram shows how a discretionary government policy is being implemented for automatic stabilizers, temporary tax reductions or waivers for individuals, and ensuring the basic needs for targeted support for disaster-stricken communities are actions done by the government to address immediate economic needs. The outcome restores economic activity, builds resilience, and leads to recovery and stability.
Hello and good day, everyone. So, I will be discussing the foreign direct investments of our chosen country, which is Japan. So, Japan will be investing in infrastructure development in the Philippines, which will showcase Japan's expertise in infrastructure development and addresses the Philippines' need to modernize its infrastructure for economic growth. So since Japan faces rising production of cost and labor shortages domestically, investing in industrial hubs in the Philippines will provide a cost-effective alternative. So in our flowchart, as you can see, Japan will allocate 1 trillion yen, which is equivalent to 380 billion pesos for industrial sectors such as urban transit systems, bridges, and seaport and airport modernization. So for the urban transit system, since there is urban congestion in Metro Manila and other cities, a modern subway and improved public transport systems will boost efficiency and reduce economic losses from traffic. So for the bridges, it will also accelerate the movement of goods and services between islands. So through this, it will boost tourism and regional businesses activities as well. So for the third one, seaports and airports, which are essential for trade and tourism, and the Philippines' integration into global supply chains, modernizing these facilities can enhance competitiveness and attracts foreign investors. So for the long-term effects for both economic countries, for both Japan and the Philippines, we will discuss first Japan. So Japan's investments in the Philippines will boost its construction and technology industries through new contracts and exports. So this will strengthen trade, reduce costs, and diversify Japan's economy, lessening reliance on traditional markets like the US and China. So for the Philippines, infrastructure development will boost the Philippine economy by creating jobs, stimulating local economies, and attracting investments. So this will enhance the country's competitiveness, attract foreign investments, and reduce poverty by improving accessibility to services and job opportunities. So overall, Japan stands to benefit from increased trade, global influence, and sustainable business, positioning itself as a key player in Southeast Asia. So the long-term return on investment for both economically and diplomatically far outweighs the initial capital outlay. So that's it for the foreign direct investment of Japan. Thank you so much for watching.